Hello, everyone. I'm Lissy. I'm here with Lyra. Welcome to the cottage. This is our Heated Rivalry podcast. And today we are going to talk about episode 2, Olympians. I feel like this is the episode that sort of actually makes the show work. Ironically, because I think when I watched this episode the first time, I was like, oh, this isn't my favorite episode. On rewatch, and we've rewatched a lot of times, we rewatched specifically to record this podcast, which
Yeah.
resulted in so many notes from both of us. You should see our notes. So yeah, in general, I wanted to sort of get your opinion of the episode in general, because I think this is the first episode we are in our situationship era. And I know that in episode 2 we're still there, but I think episode 2 is where the cracks start getting too big to ignore. Even though men will always find a way to ignore them, I think for us as a viewer, episode 2, the cracks are like obvious. Light is coming through those cracks.
Yeah, I feel like it's the catching feelings era. Like, that's what episode 2 is because there are little pauses throughout the episode that show that they're taking this a little bit more seriously. Like even Shane watching Ilya win the cup. There was emotion in his eyes and like his little smile.
Yeah, yeah.
Or Ilya after they had sex for the first time and Shane kissed his forehead and that broke that man.
No, okay, let's go. Don't
Catching feel.
don't jump ahead. Okay, we're gonna try to do this timeline wise. Like, let's go through the episode because I think there are things to discuss throughout, like what happens. So starting
Mhm.
with, we start the episode. This episode actually takes place during a longer period of time than episode 1. In episode 1, rookies, we stay in their rookie season, and like, okay,
Yeah.
since they meet before, but that jumps really quickly. This episode starts in summer 2011. We go
Yeah.
like 3 years in the episode, which is more. I mean, I guess we kind of are more insulated in episode 1 into the beginning of the relationship. And I want to start sort of like by the beginning, because this starts after that scene that we see in like the balcony after the MLH awards, where Ilya kisses Shane, and then Shane's like, oh, let me kiss you back, and wait, no, we're public. And like, Shane isn't getting that Ilya is having trouble with going back to Russia, that he's not just mad that
Mhm.
Shane won the Rookie of the Year award, he just doesn't want to go back home. And like, since these boys cannot communicate, they
Misunderstanding.
misunderstanding. We pick back up right after that with a text chain conversation. And I think in episode 1, when they started communicating, most of their communications are basically, let's have sex, or this is how we're gonna meet to have sex. And in this episode, from the beginning, they're having, I'm not saying they're like pouring their hearts out, but they're having more
Mhm.
casual conversations.
Yeah.
Because the first one, when we begin, is just basically Ilya checking in. Are you still mad at me? While both of them are running, and like the reaction that they have separately to each other. Like, Ilya's not seeing Shane's face, Shane's not seeing Ilya's face, but we are seeing both of their faces.
Yeah, I started writing everything down like summer 2011, still mad about Vegas. Fall 2011, what's a girl to do on a lonely night in Montreal? Winter 2011, want to come while you're in Boston? Spring 2012, playoffs are fun. How come you aren't here?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Like it keeps going. And I will say the one thing that I noticed, even though at the end of episode 1, there was that little parting in anger, when you enter episode 2, Ilya is the one that's continuously reaching out, like over and over and over and over. He's the one starting the conversations.
yeah, I made a note of that too. And he started the conversations, not always sexting. It's not always
Uh-huh.
about sex. It's like, obviously, when they're in the same city, he's trying that too. But
Yeah.
like, there's a little bit more of casual talk in Ilya reaching out. And I think this is more or less the way the relationship sort of works at the beginning. I think when they are actually together, Shane is actually a little more emotionally available. I don't know if
Uh-huh.
it's because he just doesn't have as much experience. So when he's there, he's there. Like, he can't avoid what he's feeling. And Ilya does this thing where he's really like he wants to see Shane, and then when he does, and things like move like slightly left of what he expects them to do, or he catches wind of like some feeling that he didn't want to feel, he shuts down completely. Um, and meanwhile, Shane is still kind of like in the same level of when he's answering. I think he's more or less on the same level as when they're there. I think at the beginning of the episode, Shane is trying to tell himself that he doesn't want sort of to fall into this relationship with Ilya or continue
Yeah.
doing it because they don't meet up for a while. We see Ilya reaching out over and over and over again, and Shane is kind of giving him the runaround, even though from the way we see it, Shane really wants to answer him, and you know,
Yeah. Because I mean, I'm looking at the timeline. So summer 2011 up till fall 2013, they were just texting, 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 and it
right.
wasn't until fall 2013 that they got to see each other
Right. I
again.
actually have a question about that. Why do you think? Because it is Ilya almost exclusively reaching out.
Okay.
Um, Even up to like the playoffs. Playoffs are fun. How come you aren't here? All of that is Ilya reaching out. Why do you think that? Like, are we thinking? I have theories. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I can tell. Are we thinking that the possibility of being found, it's like Ilya kissing him in public, scares Shane so much that he's now like, no? Or is it a combination of doing that and the fact that Shane, didn't stop him when he kissed
I'm
him
trying
in
to understand
public?
your question. You're
Why do
saying
you
like
think?
why?
Why do you think Shane is not meeting up with Ilya? Why are they having sex at the beginning of this episode?
I mean, what like why it took them so long to get together from summer 2011
Right,
to fall 2013?
right. Why?
Honestly, life. It could have absolutely
It
been life.
not live. They were in the same place at the same time a couple of times.
It could still be life. There are people that have come to the city where I'm at and it's super, super close and we don't see each other. It could absolutely be life.
No, Lyra, it's
Um,
still life.
I think it's life also. What
No,
is
no, I
this
think
confused?
Shane is deliberately not answering when Ilya wants to meet up to have sex. Like there's a text message like something about coming in Boston. You want to come when you're in Boston. Like that's a specific invitation. Um,
Yeah.
why does Shane not answer the specific invitation this time? Like what caused Shane to spend
All that time
all
still
that time?
replying without going. I mean,
Exactly.
look, I will still say part of it is definitely situation. And part of it, like, I feel like Shane kept responding because there's something enticing about something forbidden, but it's also something that he has never experienced. So even though he's scared of what he's feeling for Ilya, this probably feels right. Because if he's gay, by the end of the series, he says he's gay. It's a safe space. It's a way for him to experience this thing that he's never been able to touch, but maybe he doesn't know how to define it. We see throughout the series that Shane has a little bit of trouble defining things and maybe seeing things um, a little bit more clearly. I just think it takes him a little bit more time and it's just a little safe space. And I feel like he's scared of towing the line into like actually doing the thing that he wants.
Yeah, I don't think we can really interpret it as Shane is aware of his feelings yet. Um, at all, because I think when we get to episode 4 and that tuna melt scene, I think that's when Shane actually understands his feelings and runs
Yeah.
away from them. So right now, he's probably not running away from his feelings because I don't think he understands he's going to run away from his feelings. Don't get me wrong, but not
Yeah.
yet because he doesn't understand his feelings yet.
Yeah, he doesn't understand them, but there are sparks throughout this episode. There are sparks of this gentleness between Shane and Ilya on the staircase, in bed. There's so many moments, even at the end, texting him, we didn't even kiss. It's little sparks that are showing that Shane is starting to get invested more than just, hey, a guy that I can explore my sexuality with.
Yeah, I feel like you didn't answer my question. Um,
I
And
did answer your question.
no.
Shane, he was scared. He was towing the line.
Okay, but
He kept that connection going. Huh?
scared of what? What is he
Scared of
scared of?
being gay.
Okay,
Scared of
yes.
like that's it. Like it's just scared of his sexuality. He's scared of what that means for him. It's it's that thing where a part of a part of Shane probably always knew. A part of Shane always knew about his sexuality, if he was gay and everything like that. But there's a difference because when you cross that line,
Yeah.
you're afraid of how everything can change. That's what it is. That's what it feels like to me. And like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's it's like speaking something into reality. If Shane goes and crosses that line and, has sex with Ilya, catches feelings for Ilya, comes out publicly, everything that comes afterwards is scary, but also you as a person, you're changing and you're acknowledging that you're changing, and even that change within yourself, acknowledging that, hey, maybe I'm gay, that's terrifying. So he's like there's the exhilaration of maybe I want to know that person who I am, like past that line, being a gay man. But there's also the fear of if I cross that line, maybe it'll go bad, maybe it'll go wrong. The unknown, basically.
Yeah. If I'm pushing, if you're watching this and you're like, Lissy, why are you like? It's because we're actually trying very hard to come at this from two different perspectives. I read the books, I read like the short stories, I read everything. Like has
Yeah.
read nothing. So sometimes I'm really
Nothing.
interested in sort of how she's seeing it without the background of the book.
Okay, so in the book, what is Shane's
This isn't
reason
this
for
isn't
responding?
exactly developed. Like there's a lot of time jumps in the books from
Okay.
one moment to the next. I read it as more of, I mean, yes, I think there's a little bit of being scared of his sexuality, or like sort of what it means to continuously be sleeping with a man. um
Uh-huh.
I also think it's a little bit of fear of the public kind of thing that happened in that first episode at the end, and like even Scott asking him about like your boy rose enough, and like all of those things are like Shane is a ball of anxiety like us. We understand Shane. Like all of
Mhm.
those things like are in your brain, and you're trying to not have them control you, but you make decisions based on all of these things. The other thing I find really interesting that Lyra probably didn't really like clock or care about in the beginning scenes is that we get uh, a little bit of a glimpse at the Montreal locker room and the Boston locker room during those scenes from them, which, especially the Montreal one, will be very important in season two. And I think even those tiny scenes give you sort of a different perspective of how Shane is as a captain and how Ilya is as a captain. Ilya
Yeah.
seems to have the room. Everyone's rallying around him. He's bold, he's brash. People like flock
Yeah.
towards him. He gives speeches with profanity, and like everyone's like rah
Passionate
rah rah.
speeches.
Shane, meanwhile, is a little bit of a nut dog. Like people respect him because he's the best player, but
Yeah.
I don't feel like they follow him in the way that the Boston players follow Ilya.
Yeah.
So,
That
and
makes sense.
I think that's really important for them in such a short time to sort of show us, um,
Uh-huh.
because it's gonna become super important when Ilya changes teams, and like the dynamic he builds in Ottawa, and like what's gonna happen with the dynamic in Montreal that I'm not gonna spoil, but like it's gonna be important in season two. So I really liked that we saw a little bit of more than someone other than Hayden in Montreal in the locker room. And even though I think from Boston, the only person that's supposed to stick in our heads is Cliff, who is Ilya's closest friend, I guess, in Boston.
Is he the
You've
one that comments about him blushing?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Russians do
because
not do this, okay? Russians do not do this.
they don't do this.
They don't do this.
But I'm
Uh,
glad that honestly Ilya has that in the locker room and that he has people like that around him because teasing and joking is something I don't know, it doesn't work for everybody, but it works for me in friendships, in romantic, like, partnerships, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think it showcases two different sides, different ways of leadership. Like it's not that
Yeah.
I think Sheen is less of a leader. I think Ilya might be more a natural leader than
Mhm.
Shane. Shane is just a very good player, and like the expectation is for him to end up as captain because he's the best player.
Yeah.
Even when we go on the scene when Ilya's winning the cup, um, the way the other players are reacting to him is he says Ilya might be the best, and the other players are like, no, no, you are the best.
Yeah.
But Shane wasn't fishing for compliments in that moment. But like that is
Yeah.
the level of respect the people in Montreal have for him. Why do I respect you? Because you're the best. In Boston, it's I love my captain like he is my leader. Yes,
Okay.
he's the best, but like the allegiance that players have for him feels more personal than Shane. And I understand Shane is a little bit awkward. He's more anxious. He has a regiment, and like he's more square. Um,
Yeah. I'm sorry, I've been watching too much Drag Race because the only thing I could think about is that Ilya has the charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent, and then Shane is like, "I've got talent."
okay,
That's
yeah, no, I think both are valid. I just think it is important to clock the difference between how they lead because it'll be
Yeah.
important later. And then we can go towards when they actually do meet. And why do we think Shane answers this time? Like Shane spends a while not
Yeah.
giving in, and then the sexting really got to him. Like what
Yeah.
was it, Shane? Why did you fall, my child? What was it?
We talk about fall 2013?
Yes,
Yeah,
when
fall
he
2013, honestly, I don't know if I'm being honest why Shane was like, let's just go, let that be the one time. I think it gets to a point where enough is enough. You've edged yourself enough. Why not
you've
just
edged,
go?
you've edged yourself enough. I think
I mean, do you have a better explanation? Because honestly, I don't, there was nothing different about this texting. There was no difference. It
I,
just, maybe
yeah,
because, maybe they were in a space where Ilya could come over to Shane's home and it was like Shane's territory, maybe a little bit more comfort in that, but I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like that last, even though Ilya has been doing it, I think it's a little revealing that we get that last text conversation that we get when Ilya's like, how many times can you come in an hour? And Shane tries to say a couple of other things and then ends up saying, I don't know, maybe twice, which is the straight answer to the question. Obviously, it wasn't the type of question that Ilya was expecting a straight answer to. It was
Yeah.
sexting. You were supposed to say something sexy back. But Ilya seems absolutely charmed by the response,
Oh
which is
yeah.
when Cliff says the whole thing like Russians do not blush, and we have that moment. Um, I think
Shane was asked a question, okay? Shane answered it. He answered it. Defense of Shane.
no, I'm not like he was asked the question and he answered it, but like I do think it might be a little bit of what you said. He's edged himself enough, but I also
Yeah.
think he probably like he tried to tell himself he didn't want this. And he
Mhm.
kept trying to tell himself he didn't want this. And at one point, I think if Ilya had stopped, Shane wouldn't have reached out to him to continue this.
Yeah.
But Ilya didn't stop. And I think at that moment, Shane was just annoyed by the fact that Ilya texted him, was texting him before the game. I think part of it is annoyance. And I want to talk about something that I don't think we talk enough is that Shane is also an asshole. Uh, people think of Ilya as the asshole in the relationship. And I don't think we talk enough about the fact that Shane is also an asshole. And the interactions with Ilya are literally the only place where he can be an asshole.
Yeah, because he's
Because
always so perfect and
he
he's gotta be perfect for
because
everything.
he's Asian and like he's a role model and like all
Representation,
of these
yes.
things, and like he's working with like he seems very media trained in everything that he does and
Uh-huh.
says, and then there's his relationship with Ilya, whatever it is, where he is an asshole. He tells him to go to hell, and in other words, he tells him,
Yeah.
he answers back. It's not that Ilya, like, I think from the outside people might think that Ilya is being mean and Shane is taking it, but it's not like that at all.
It's
Like,
not
Shane
like,
is dishing it back.
look, I think there's also, I think Ilya loves that because Ilya sees a specific side of Shane on TV. He's working out. Shane's on those commercials. He's doing those, NBC interviews. And then he gets to see a side of Shane that nobody does.
Yeah.
A little sassy side, a little, even when they came together in fall 2013 and they were in the room together, he was like, come here. He was like, no, you come here. Like they were sassing each other, and Ilya probably loves that, but also Shane loves that because he can be a little bossy, and someone sees him that way, and there's something exhilarating about being known.
Yeah. I
And
think
like people have known Shane and people have known Ilya, but the degree that they're getting to know each other, that's exhilarating. You want more and more of that.
it's like this. Shane is masking in
Yeah,
public with everyone, even with his
everyone.
parents.
Mhm.
Shane is not being like the little asshole that he can be. And with Ilya's asshole to asshole energy, it's not that Ilya is an asshole, okay? But the thing about Ilya is that he is an asshole in public. So he's also masking. He's masking like the sweet and sensitive side that he only shows to
Yeah.
Shane, while Shane is masking the asshole that he only shows to Ilya. So like when they come to either like they come together, they start having a fight and then they race up the stairs like little kids because everything is a
That was so
competition.
fun.
Even
Everything is.
even but like and they both enjoy that. Like I don't want people to think that Shane doesn't enjoy that. Shane really enjoys that.
Oh yeah, like I also really like too when Ilya first appeared at Shane's door. What did he ask him?
You're
I
gonna
wrote it
kill
down.
me.
Yeah,
You're gonna
you
kill
will
me.
murder me. I like that. Yeah, and even the racing up the stairs, and when they're arguing, when they're saying, you come here, you come here. It's like the words are saying no, but the face is saying yes because Shane was smiling,
Yeah,
okay?
I
He
want to
was having
ask
fun.
actually about a moment before that when they're outside of the room and they are having a conversation because Ilya says Mr. Businessman, Mr. Landlord, and then we get this dynamic actually a lot in the show. The camera is on Shane, because
Okay.
Shane is waiting for Ilya to kiss him. But
Okay.
as he's waiting for Ilya to kiss him, you can see his face sort of transform. There's a little smile that comes. He's not like he's letting Ilya like make the first move. Okay, he is, but he's not like scared or like doesn't want it. And like my question is, why do you think he is? Because even at the cottage episode, we see that Shane stands there, lets Ilya come to him. There's a little smile, but Ilya's taking the initiative. Why do you think that is? Like, is this just their dynamic, or do you think
Uh,
there's a little deeper thing there?
like why Shane lets Ilya come to him?
N- I don't know if it lets him come to him or it's kind of like waits for Ilya to make the first move in that moment.
I mean, it could also still be a fear thing.
I think
If
so
he's not
too.
if Shane's not the one that's going forward and initiating the kiss, is he really being an active member in this? Because there's a difference, like from them saying come here," before they have sex, and then after they have sex. Ilya is cuddled up to him, and Shane kisses his forehead, and it was like him initiating really for the first time. So it could be that. It could be, if I don't initiate, am I really like doing this active?
I mean, I think it's in my head, it feels a little bit like an absurd fear of rejection in the sense
Really?
that not really, not a rational one, because there's
Yeah.
nothing rational. Ilya literally just went to your apartment, like he didn't come there to play cards. But Shane is a little ball of anxiety, and like to me, it always feels like he's kind of holding himself back because he needs like the last little move to like the first big move to be Ilya's, just to be 100% sure
Yeah.
that
Do you think
this is what, and then that
like he needs Ilya to be brave to take that final step?
I think even though he knows they're there to have sex, when things
Yeah.
start, he sort of waits to make it's almost I think it's absurd if you
Okay.
think about it rationally, but if it reads to me as a little he can make like if he makes the first move, I'm 100% sure. Before I was 99% sure, but I need to be 100% sure. In the way um people with a lot of anxiety like just want that last thing. And then I think that unlocks Shane. I think it all the time it unlocks
Okay.
Shane. And I also think Ilya is very, very bad at resisting Shane. So he always makes the first move. And I think
Yeah.
even though I think at this stage it is a little bit of Shane sort of the fear, I think at some point it might become Shane like goading Ilya to make the first move because there's a little their relationship has a little bit of a power play
Yeah.
in all dynamics. Um and it's not just we're not gonna get into top and bottom discourse in this podcast, but like there's a little bit of a power dynamic between them. And I actually think it's flipped a lot um from what people expected to be,
I mean, it's also people's perceptions of
right?
what
What are the
being gay
dynamic, yeah.
means because they go and they compare it to a
A man
man
and a
being with a
woman, yeah.
woman, and that's just not what it is. Like, it's woman and woman, man and man, everything in between. There's always that conversation that you see on TV or movies, like, so who's the man, who's the
Right.
woman? Maybe neither, maybe both. Who
Or
business is it of
maybe
yours?
depending on the moment, the dynamic will be what they
Exactly.
want it to be in the moment. And I think Shane and Ilya are very good at the dynamic being what it needs to be in the moment. And I wanted
Yeah.
again, even before the come here moment, which I really like, there is Ilya comes into the room and talks about the throw pillows. Like, do you think you have enough? And then Shane calls him an asshole. And Ilya says, I think maybe you like it, meaning that he is an asshole. And he is absolutely right. Shane likes it.
Yeah.
Asshole to asshole energy is foreplay to them. Okay, they like it. They both
Look, that's one
like
of my
it.
favorite things. Honestly, that's one of my favorite tropes. Whenever I watch like TV or movies, when people are being like jerks to each other or sassy to each other, and then there's that moment of spark because look, life is hard, okay? And like you want somebody that isn't afraid to challenge you, but they match up with you and they don't go overboard. They match your energy not to like I don't know, demean you, put you down, anything like that. They match your energy because they want to and it's this back and forth that man, I can't explain. Like anytime I see it in a movie or a TV show, it's not that, oh, I love people being jerks to each other. I love when people match each other's energy.
Yeah.
That's it. I also think
I,
that Ilya has a competency kink, okay?
I,
Because
you might be right.
Shane, businessman, he wants to take the
Mr.
apartment
Land.
next door,
But
put it
like,
together. Oh my
th-
god, Shane, you're so
think about
organized.
it like
He
this.
likes it.
They probably both have a competence kink because they what they one of the things they like about each other is that they challenge each other. And
Yeah,
that starts as this is the person that's challenging me in hockey.
yeah.
And this is a person that in a way when you have a rival, it pushes you to be better because you just want to beat them. So they are the person that is at the end of their career, or even when we see in the show, why Shane's so good and why is Ilya so good, I think
Yeah.
you can say that a large part of that is because they have someone to challenge you and keep them honest and never make it so you could like coast because you can, because you're trying to beat this other person. But they're also challenging each other in their real lives. I think, as we talked before,
Mhm.
becoming the one person where even though they are not really communicating all that well, they're
Yeah.
still the one person in each other's lives that is seeing the other person for who they really are.
Mhm.
Um, and that becomes sort of like a safe little space that you don't want to let
Yep.
go of.
Yep. I also think that this plays into the reason why women like Heated Rivalry in the first place. Because this episode has the explicit sex scene. You have the fall 2013, and then you have
Yeah, I
something
have a lot
later
of
on in
notes about that, but
but let me finish. In spring 2024. So you have fall 2013, spring 20 uh
14. No, 2024,
2014.
no.
Sorry. Okay, but you have episode 2 has two explicit sex scenes, and there's this continued conversation online. Oh my god, my neck.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
I
Okay,
don't know why
see.
it's celebrating the too explicit sexy. Sorry, everyone.
But no, look, you have these two explicit sex scenes, and there's this continued conversation about why do women like Heated Rivalry? It's not about the sex, okay? It really, really, really isn't. It's intimacy, okay? Because even during their sex scenes, Ilya is consistently checking up on him. There, kisses on the shoulder, and the focus, even in the filming, was on them, on their faces, and the lighting was nice and warm. And even before that, they have regular conversations. They show intimacy even before having sex and then after having sex. And that is literally why women like Heated Rivalry, because it's the intimacy that they want in their lives. Like, it's not
Like,
just, oh, two guys together.
yeah, it's also an intimacy of equals, which
Yeah.
doesn't always feel like what you get in a relationship between a man and a
Uh-huh.
woman. And when you see it as an intimacy between equals, you kind of want that. And it's a
Mm-hmm.
well-rounded romance. And then you got that. At some point we might, I think this is the topic of why women like Heated Rivalry probably deserves an entire episode in and
Yeah.
of itself. But I really want to talk about like the sex scene, because did you count how many times Ilya checked in?
I
Um,
did not count. Did you count?
I wrote the notes. Um, he starts by saying you still want when they're naked and they're already naked and in bed,
Yeah.
okay, which he could consider explicit consent because they already
Yeah.
started, and he still
Mm-hmm.
checks in. Um, and then I made a note about like why are men always making dick jokes? Like, what are we,
I
men?
don't know, bro.
Okay.
I don't have one. I
And
don't know.
and then he makes the condom joke with Shane. Like, why do you think you needed that many
Competency,
Okay.
okay? Shade was prepared.
Um. Okay. He checks 4 times. He checks again when they're yeah 4 times I counted.
Okay.
Within the first scene, he checks in the
Consent is hot.
middle. In the middle, like when they switch positions, he's like, "Do you still like this? Is still what you want?"
Hot.
Um. And I think the scene, like Lyra said, is consent is super hot, but it's
Oh
also
my god.
very tender. Um, because he's checking in, he is kissing Shane. Like there are a lot of tender kisses and tender moments in that. That would like if you wanted to think about the first time. Um,
Yeah.
it wasn't like this. It wasn't this tender. It was more sex. It was hot
Yeah.
and whatever for them, but like it wasn't this tender. Um,
Mhm.
it's been a while, but it hasn't been that many sexual encounters when we
Yeah.
get to here, and we're already at a level of tenderness that I think might be surprising to even them. I actually think that's why Ilya gets off the bed, because
Yeah.
after they're done, Shane kisses him so tenderly that
Yeah.
he is like,
That
nope,
forehead kiss
brain short
broke
circuiting,
him.
cannot stay here. And then it's also about sort of, there's this, again, not understanding the dynamics. There's this expectation of who is going to be tender or who is going to be whatever. And like you have
Yeah.
Ilya sort of laying on Shane's chest, and Shane is, yeah, kissing him in the forehead. First of all, he kisses him in the mouth. It's a super soft kiss. And then he kisses
Super
his
soft.
forehead, and Ilya's kind of like rubbing his arm, and it's super tender.
And then he comes back, like, he goes, he takes a shower after they, finish being intimate. Goes, takes a shower, comes back and lays down and they cuddle, everything like that. I would also argue that the first time they were intimate, it was also gentle in a way and it still had consent. I think what changed with this one is that
Is the
they've been
tenderness.
talking longer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
the tenderness, the sparks, it's no longer a stranger, it's someone that I know.
uh-huh.
Um but yeah, I kept thinking about like that scene and consent is it's just so hot because again, I feel like men in particular, they look at something like Heated Rivalry like, I don't get it. Why do women like this? Because consent is hot, okay? The hottest, like even like laughing during intimate moments, checking in with each other,
Yeah.
all those little things, it shows that this is not a casual encounter. They basically created this space, this bubble where they can be themselves completely. And if a mistake happens, someone falls off the bed, it's okay because they've created a space.
No, like again, it's not just the checking in, it's Ilya kissing Shane's back.
Mhm.
There's a moment where he touches his face and so
Yeah.
softly. And then they're having conversations about normal things like the bed's all dirty. And then the song, literally when they're like kind of cuddling for a little, the song says, "Please don't go," right in that moment. I had
Peter
the
Peter.
I had the captions on and I was like, "Are you doing this to me?" And
Oh,
then
even the song was gentle.
yeah,
That was amazing.
and then of course Ilya gets up to shower because I think he kind of feels it. He gets up to shower because that gives him a moment, but he
Yeah.
comes back, and then Shane, while Ilya goes to take a shower, stays there, looks up to the ceiling and smiles.
Little
Um,
smile.
and then Ilya comes back and asks him if it was worth the wait, and Shane doesn't actually answer, just kisses him. Um,
Uh-huh.
and I think when after Shane kisses him and kisses his forehead, like Lyra said, you can sort of clock that Ilya got scared. And
Oh,
like,
little
yeah,
baby full of trauma, getting love and kindness for the first time. It broke him. Well, not the
right.
first time in a while.
Yeah, I think, and we're gonna talk about if we're going in order, we're gonna talk about Ilya's issues pretty soon. But I think, yeah, he got scared of the intimacy, but mostly I think he got scared of how much he wanted it. Because I don't
Yeah,
think
and
that fits within the things the things he thinks he's allowed to have in this particular moment
yeah,
in life. Um,
100%.
so he got scared, and in that moment, I think Shane wasn't scared of what was going on. I think in that moment, Shane was most emotionally available
Yeah.
to what was happening. I just think early on, Shane takes all of his cues from Ilya. So when Ilya gets a little scared and retreats, Shane does the same. And tries to pretend like he wasn't like that there
I'm
wasn't
totally okay.
there wasn't and then anything there. And then we have the stairwell kiss, which is another like, are you guys, is this a situationship? Because like you would
It ain't.
not treat a
It
situationship
ain't.
like that. That is the softest kiss ever.
With banter, okay? With banter.
Yeah, and they're lingering. Shane walked him down the stairs to wait there for his cab. And Shane is actually actively trying to get to know Ilya. Ilya's not budging.
Yeah.
He's not telling him about his family yet. But Shane is trying. Like, it's not like casual. He's asking about the Olympics. He's asking about Ilya's family. He wants to know. And
Yeah.
then,
And
of
then
course,
I was gonna say too, but the ending of this scene, the stairwell scene, in comparison to how their second encounter ends, it's intimate tenderness and then this disconnect by the end of the episode where Sheen is by the door and he's
yeah,
like,
but like,
bye.
yeah, I think it's obvious what's happening at the end. I think we're gonna get there. But like I think, yeah, this is a tender moment. Like Shane even stays there, sort of like leans back, sort of smiles,
Taking it in.
taking it in. We don't see Ilya, but we do see that that is like a very tender moment. And then we go to
Hmm.
the Olympics. And like
So
everything changes. Um, and I think that is the first moment because we go there, and I think when Scott and Vaughn walk in to have that conversation with Shane, who's like at a cafe or something, that might be the first time that Shane really thinks about what it means for Ilya to be queer and come from where he comes from. Like, I
yeah,
don't think it had really hit him. Like, he was trying to get Ilya to answer him, but it was
yeah.
more in a I want to talk to you way. And then he starts clocking it and getting worried.
Mhm.
Um, and then I think that that conversation also has a lot of layers because Carter Vaughn is saying, "Hey, let's watch figure skating. Your friend's
Friend
really
is brave.
brave." And then he's got two queer players there, and he doesn't know that
Yeah.
the words he's saying apply not just to Shane but to Scott, and both are there
Mhm.
eating their ice cream. Like,
Like,
okay, this is not about me.
and I know a lot of people were bothered. I remember when the episode came out, episode 2 came out, people were bothered. They were like, "Oh, how can she not understand where Ilya comes from? This is so ignorant and this is so just self-centered." Like, people aren't perfect.
I didn't
Shane
see
isn't
that. You
perfect.
are
Also,
looking at them too many things.
what am I looking at too many things? This is just what came up on the feed, came up on the socials, because people like to go and pick their favorite, I'm gonna say it, they like to pick their favorite white boy, and they can do no wrong. But the thing is, like with Shane, Shane has always been so focused on his career, and he's so focused now on these new feelings. And sometimes you are ignorant, and maybe you like when you're young like that, you're thinking about yourself. But I like the fact that when Shane clocked, hey, my experience might be different from Ilya's experience, he started like pulling at it a little bit and trying to see how Ilya was doing and does he feel comfortable being home? Because they haven't talked about this.
I think
Um,
their story is a little bit about different types of privilege.
mm-hmm,
Ilya is obviously white, and
mm-hmm,
there's a privilege in not being judged for your race, like Shane
yeah,
is, and not having to be a role model and always be on and always get
uh-huh,
say the right thing, otherwise you'll be judged.
mm-hmm,
But Shane has a loving family that supports him, which Ilya doesn't
yeah,
have, and Shane has a country that will not throw him in jail if he's queer. So it's just about both of them understanding the other's circumstance. Um which I don't think they're there yet. They're not. But I do
yeah,
appreciate that Shane when I'm not even sure he like fully understand, but he tries. Shane at this point is trying really hard. Okay. I think we gotta be honest and say that at the beginning of the relationship, Shane is trying as hard as Ilya. Like Ilya was reaching out all those times, but Shane is the one sort of turning up the intimacy, trying to make it more, asking questions, personal questions, when they're seeing each other. That's Shane. Shane is not running away from that. Um,
yeah,
it's just that he's a little naive and thinking that he's gonna go up to
yeah.
Ilya in Sochi and Ilya's just gonna like what open up to him.
There's cameras,
No,
people. There's
no,
cameras.
Ilya is obviously very clear he's like not here. Um, and then when Sheen doesn't get it, she's just
Mm-hmm.
checking up on him, okay? But like Ilya cannot even let himself talk to Sheen in that space because if he does, everything's gonna crumble around him. He can
Yeah,
like
yeah,
he really wants to tell Shane all his problems. He
yeah.
really wants to, and like we know this because there's that short. Rachel Reed gave us this scene, like what Ilya was thinking, and he was thinking, "Hey, I would
Oh,
love to hug this man
really?
and like tell him all my problems, but I can't right now. I can't. Like, and he's gotta be on because he's in Russia. And he just got in a message from his brother saying, hey, dad is mad, and like, and we're gonna go into Ilya's dad in a little bit. But I think Ilya, when he is scared, reacts badly. And he tells Shane, we're not anything, go away, Hollander. And I think even when he says that, Shane's still seeing through him because Shane still asks, "Are you okay?" Um,
Mhm.
and but Ilya can't not write that. And I did want
Yeah.
to clock that. Like, this is a little flip in the dynamic. I think, as I said before, for the first few years of the relationship, even though Ilya is the one reaching out to have sex, Shane is the one dictating the emotional um flow of the relationship. Shane is the
Okay.
one who is emotionally available in any
Mm.
sense. I think Ilya it's not at all. It might be in his head, and like he's caught
Yeah.
feelings, he's scared. I think Ilya recognizes his feelings for Shane earlier, which is
Okay.
part of the problem. He gets scared, more scared, and shuts down because he recognizes the feelings earlier. Shane, meanwhile,
Yeah.
has no clue of what he's feeling, so that makes
Oh,
him
Shane.
it makes it easier to be emotionally available because he hasn't had time to get scared about what this means. He's not
Yeah.
understanding that he's in love yet, so he can be more open. Ilya, who I think has clogged his feelings or a little bit of his feelings by that time, is just deadly afraid, and then he's
Mhm.
in a place where he cannot be himself. And then
Yeah,
the
he has to be somebody else with his dad, with his brother, and even when he meets up with Sasha and Svetlana, he still has to be someone else.
yeah.
It's just and also think about that weight of carrying so many different versions of yourself within. I feel like Shane, because he comes from, a loving family and a place that won't like put him in jail if he comes out as queer, he he has maybe like what, like two versions of himself? A version he is for the public, or three. A version that he is for himself, a version that he is for his parents, and then this version that he's with Ilya, and then Ilya has like multitudes of versions of who he is with Shane, who he is in the locker room, who he is with his father, who he is with his brother, who he is with Svetlana, who's with Sasha. So many different versions. How can you know who you are? And maybe that's why when he's with Shane, he can be the person he's always wanted to be. And the same thing for Shane. Maybe when he's with Ilya, he gets to be the person he wants to be.
Yeah, I don't even know if just the person he wants to be, but like the person that he feels they feel they are deep
Yeah.
inside. But like even before going into the Svetlana and Sasha scene, I want to talk about the scene between Ilya and his dad. Because I think that scene is super telling. First with Ilya referring to his dad as sir. The scene starts and Ilya calls him sir, says it like, yes,
Hmm.
sir. And then the dad asks him, how are you not ashamed of losing to Latvia? Um, and then
What's up with
says
Latvia? What's their team like?
just
Are
they're
they,
not
are they
supposed. Yeah, they're just not supposed to be as good as Russia,
okay?
and like losing early for Russia in this stage would be a really big disappointment.
Yeah.
But his dad also says some specific things. He says, You're always looking for someone else to blame since you were a boy." Um, and it's actually pretty nasty. And there's a flip
Mhm.
in the moment that he's being nasty, even where he forgets sort of where he is because the dementia is sort of
Mhm.
hits. And Ilya is still kind enough to repeat everything to his father. Um, so his father's not confused. And he's gonna
Yeah.
make that flip really quickly. And then the
Yep.
next scene takes us to Ilya standing there completely in another plane of existence. He's disassociating, like he's like he's not there, while his dad
Mhm.
and Svetlana's dad are talking about how bad he is, and his dad is saying that leadership was needed and they lost because they didn't have any leadership, and Ilya was the captain, so they're
Yeah.
blaming him to his face until Svetlana comes and saves him. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if she really like living with Sasha didn't feel like a great friend like thing, but whatever. She thought it was good. I'm not gonna
I mean, she
knock
knows
on
a
my
specific
girl.
version of him. Svetlana knows a specific version of him, and that version
Yeah.
should be okay with Sasha.
I mean, I think even Sasha, like when we get to the scene, um I mean, we open the scene. Svetlana and this is where we learn that Svetlana and Ilya are childhood friends. In this version, in the book,
Mhm.
they're not. I really
Hmm.
like this change. I think this change adds so much to their dynamic. Because
I
they
didn't know
really
that.
do feel like two people who just have a lot in common because they lived through a lot together.
Mhm.
Um, and they're family in a way. Um, and we know they've had sex, but like it doesn't feel like that was ever like a relationship that was gonna be fully romantic. It's just
Yeah, she wasn't gonna be competition that suddenly was
yeah.
gonna pop up to, like, go in the middle of, Shane and Ilya like other shows would probably do.
No, yeah, she's a friend who knows a lot about hockey as she proves in that thing, but like
A
also
lot.
a friend who can tell Ilya that his dad is an asshole who would have punished you either way, is what she says. And I want to take a specific note of the word punished because we
Yeah,
don't see Ilya's dad doing anything other than being nasty.
yeah.
Uh, but between the dad saying that Ilya was always looking for somebody else to take the blame and Svetlana using the word punish, I think we are supposed to assume that there's a level of abuse here that might
Oh.
not always only be psychological. Um,
But maybe physical?
I don't know it for sure, but like I wouldn't be surprised that like
Do they
considering
tease that in the book?
again it's a little bit there. I don't think it's ever specifically stated, but like I do
Mhm.
think that I could make that connection and be like, yeah, and I don't not necessarily think it would be wrong, even if it's
Okay.
never explicitly stated. So I kind of wanted to just, you know, see what you
Good.
thought of it without the background, because I'm not saying it's for sure that the show states for sure. There's abuse. I think we gotta be clear that abuse does not have to be physical to be
Yeah.
abuse. So there is
Mhm.
abuse here 100% either way. In
Yeah.
the way Ilya was being treated. And like when you're treated like that, you kind of get conditioned to respond in some ways. It is a trauma response from Ilya.
100%.
So much of what he does, so much of how he reacts is a trauma response. And like some things have to be unlearned and they're really, really hard to unlearn. So
Yeah.
abuse for sure. I'm thinking the abuse might have crossed the line into physical at times at least. I don't know if we know for sure, but I think we can't discount the possibility.
Yeah, I think like as someone who has experienced trauma, there's I remember going back into the spaces that traumatized me, around the people that traumatized me, and I was a different person. I was a different person in the way that I carried myself, in the things that I said, how I talked to other people, and sometimes I was even embarrassed by myself when I got back to a space that I felt more comfortable with. And specifically Ilya when he was talking to his dad, it's the dichotomy of hating and loving someone at the same time.
Yeah.
You hate them for the way that they make you feel small and they make you feel bad about yourself and that you hate so many different things. But then you also love them because they're your parent, man. Like they raised you, you know, they showed you moments of kindness and you kind of you stay sometimes as well because you hope that that kindness will appear and is still there and you kind of just want to make your parents proud.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's really hard and
Yeah.
we'll see continuously through this show that Ilya
Yeah.
still cares about his dad, even though his dad clearly wasn't good to him. And again, there are a lot
Yeah.
of things to deconstruct with therapy that won't just be deconstructed by themselves.
Therapy.
But then we go back to issues with his dad, and then we have that weird ass conversation with Sasha, where Sasha's like coming on to Ilya, and Ilya is literally could not be less interested. Um, and Sasha says something about how danger used to get him going. I think danger still gets him going. It's just another danger because being with Shane is kind of dangerous. He just doesn't want to sleep with Sasha.
Yeah.
And it might just be the place, the time, like what it means to like sort of go back to the same other person who you didn't really have a healthy relationship with. But
Yeah,
it-
maybe
yeah,
yeah.
but
Ilya
Ilya,
just doesn't wanna be that person anymore.
Right, but like Ilya's still in a time in his life where he is sleeping with other people. The book makes it clear. At this point in his life, he's sleeping with other people.
Mhm.
Shane's sleeping with other people. They are not exclusive. Okay?
Okay.
And I think we're supposed to the show makes that explicit when in the cottage they have a conversation about how neither of them has been with other people since the All-Star break. That means that at some point in the relationship they were with other people.
Yeah, I
So
mean, we see it later on, but even, like, looking at episode 2, it just contained I didn't get the feeling that they were sleeping with anybody else.
yeah, I think we're supposed to assume that they are in general, but we're just seeing their moments. In the book, they are, like, both of
Okay,
them. It's not like they only had a relationship with each other.
okay.
What does happen in the book is that Ilya, at some points when he's sleeping with other people, only sleeps
Mhm.
with women. Is
Yeah,
not really sleeping with other men other than Shane. Um,
okay. And Shane?
Shane has a couple of experiences with men in the book. And
Really?
yes, and decides that he did not have as much fun as he had with Ilya.
Wow, I
Um,
did not
did
know
not enjoy it
that.
as much. Yeah, yeah.
Did Okay, before, like, getting together with Ilya, was Shane already having encounters with other men, or
No,
did
Ilya was
being with
his
Ilya?
first man.
Okay, so,
Shane's.
like, where was Shane meeting these men?
I mean, in the book, he meets one in Mexico and another. It was a Hollywood dude that he met. Like I think it was like a BJ in a bathroom. Like it wasn't like a thing. And like, yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it
I
wasn't.
kinda like that Shane was
I I
trying other
I like it
things with
too.
other people.
I don't mind it. It's not like.
So why did they cut it from the show? Like,
I mean, I don't think it was something that. I don't necessarily think they cut it. I think we are supposed to assume from the conversation they have at the
I did not
cottage.
assume.
Okay, but like I'm explaining to you that I think that's what you're supposed to but to think. You don't have the details, but you're supposed to understand that they've slept with other people in the meantime, and
Uh,
at that point they decided they were gonna be exclusive. But we're far from the cottage yet. So yeah, what my point was that at this point, Ilya is still sleeping with other people. He could have slept with Sasha if he wanted to, and he clearly didn't want to. And then he gets a message from Shane. um his phone, I don't think it rings. It's like it vibrates and he pulls it out. He sees a message from Shane and he does
mhm.
not answer. Um and he turns his entire attention towards winning the Stanley Cup because it is the
Okay.
only thing that's going to prove his dad that he's not a failure.
Yeah.
And I think in his mind, Shane is a distraction. Because he cares too much. So he is like, he goes kind of like there are players who's got this superstition about like no sex during the playoffs. I think Ilya kind of goes into that mentality and like no distractions. And then we get like, yeah,
Wow.
his good speech to Boston, and then they win the Stanley Cup. And then we have that
Mhm.
scene with Shane at Hayden's house. I think we're supposed to assume because Jackie's there and he brings wine, and then the other players are there. Then the scene where he is actually happy when Ilya wins, and Ilya is raising the cup and say this is for his mom and things like that. And Shane is actually happy
A
because
little emotion there was
yeah.
stirring.
I think Hudson Williams is amazing at this thing where your eyes kind of fill with tears. Like, how do you do that, man?
I
That's
don't know, like, Connor's
good.
story, like, he transforms his face, and then the
That
accent, and then
is
the hair, you're
no
like,
the
"Who are
and
you?"
we gotta give props to like the transforming his face. I think there's a lot of work they do with makeup and lighting in this show that sort of
Yeah.
makes Ilya, like specifically in the scene at the end, look um
Oh my god, in the
he looks
chairlift,
like
who was
yes,
that?
that
Look,
is, yeah, his features are so defined. That's a light thing and makeup thing, and they're doing it
magic.
on purpose because he's supposed to look like this untainable like Greek god, and he does. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Look, if you told me Connor's story from, like, SNL, there doing his open monologue, had a twin, and it was, you know, Connor's story at the end of episode 2, sitting in that chair, I'd be like, "Yeah, those are twins. Those are 2 completely
two completely
different
different.
people."
I also think it's fair to say and that the physique Connor had for Ilya in that scene is not an achievable in long term. You can't
Oh my
look like
god,
that
yeah.
long term without like cutting back so much of what makes
So
life
much.
good. So I think Connor is a handsome dude, and he's still a handsome dude, even if he doesn't look specifically like Ilias looked in that scene. But like I think um he'll probably go back to eating weird shit and doing
Oh my god, yes.
whatever workout people asked him about 20 times that I don't care because I wanted people to be asking uh um Shane
Yeah.
and Ilya questions that people were asking about his workout. But like, yeah, I think we can admire the lighting and the way it made him look in that scene.
And
'Cause-
then what about Hudson? Okay, Hudson is just like magic because look at Hudson like giving like see you next Tuesday face, being at the Oscars, just having this charisma about him. And then I see my little baby Shane,
Yeah. All
my little
awkward and
awkward
like an
baby.
awkward duckling. Yeah, I think we talked about it in the
Two
first
different people, I'm
episode.
telling you.
And
Hudson and Shane.
they it's very interesting because I think people believe there's not a lot of work into some things, like for example chemistry. uh
Yeah,
Connor and Hudson clearly have chemistry as actors, as two
yeah.
people. They clearly friends, they like each other, but
Mm-hmm.
the chemistry they have as Hudson and Connor is not the chemistry we see as Ilya and
Yep.
Shane. Um, and they had to build a different chemistry because Ilya and Shane are different people than Connor and Hudson. So
100%.
the chemistry that Ilya and Shane exude, that we're feeling, has to feel different than the chemistry Connor and Hudson have naturally. That is
Yeah.
actual work. They put in the work
Mm-hmm.
to make this specific chemistry feel like a thing that is only Shane and Ilias. And I think that
Yeah.
needs to be acknowledged.
Look, it's like we talked about before. When I look at Connor's story and I look at Hudson Williams, I in Heated Rivalry, I don't see Connor Story and Hudson Williams.
Yeah,
I see Shane and Ilya. And there are plenty of other actors. When I watch their movies, I was like, oh, that's just that actor.
yeah.
When I watch this, I don't see the actors. And that's
Chef's kiss.
fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, we get to the MLH
Okay.
awards. And because before we even get to the scene in the penthouse, we still have to talk about the lead up to that. And it hasn't been the time they didn't talk. It's just been months, 6 months or so. It hasn't been that
6
long as
months.
the time they didn't see each other at the beginning of the episode, but it feels worse because they haven't been talking. They have been exchanging like casual texts. Illy has not been replying to Shane, and Shane is obviously upset. There is a
Mm-hmm.
short story that Rachel Reed wrote about
Mm-hmm.
that day, that night. That because we see Shane waiting for Ilya to go present the award, and Ilya gets there
Yeah.
at like the last possible second. In this short story, Rachel Reed writes that Ilya was in the bathroom, literally trying to avoid Shane until the last possible second,
What?
counting down the seconds so he wouldn't like have to spend much time with Shane, because at that point, again, this man has already clocked that Shane is dangerous for him. So he's trying to
Mm-hmm.
protect
His
himself.
emotions.
He's trying to protect himself. And there's even a line there that I love where Ilya kind of says, like, when he sees Shane in his head in the short story, that he says he keeps hoping that the next time he sees him will be the time he doesn't find him irresistible. And that keeps not happening. And
Ooh.
I actually, like, yeah, I really love that. And then clearly Ilya comes, and he's trying to be Ilya, like a little shit, to like, oh, he was busy, and
I
Shane,
was busy. With
yeah,
who?
Shane gets a little jealous, and they have like that, and then they have to walk in and play their parts
Yeah.
for the world. And another little note that I guess Lyra would not know is that Ilya was not necessarily meant to really open his camera app and take the photos, and he does it because he wants a photo with Shane, and those remain the only photos he had with Shane for a decade. in his phone, and he keeps them in his phone. He changes phones and keeps changing the folder with those photos over and over because they are the only photos they have together from that time in their
Shane.
lives. Because
Irresistible.
they obviously couldn't take pictures, or like if they gotten hacked, like this would have been a different story, you know? Um,
Lizzie, I can't.
I was only
I
talking
can't.
about pictures. If your dirty mind took you somewhere else,
Wait,
leave me out
wait,
of
no, 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 no.
it.
I don't know what you're talking about. My mind did not go anywhere dirty. What are
Okay,
you
good.
talking about?
I
My
don't know. You
mind
made
went
a
to the
face.
fact. No, 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 no. It's about tenderness, Lizzie.
Okay,
Tenderness.
I
For
actually
Ilya, he
really love
wanted
that.
that photo because
Hmm.
it's he wants to stay away from Shane. He wants to, not be tempted by Shane and all his beauty.
He,
Um,
he's really
but
bad at
it's
that, though. He takes
oh,
they're standing there, and he's like his hand on Shane's
his
back, and I was
hand
like,
on his
Ilya,
back.
can you contain yourself for 3 seconds, my dude?
Pero mira, 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 the whole photo, the reason why I made that face in that comment was it's wanting something so desperately and wanting it so bad, resisting, doing these things to maybe make it not work, but still this like small part of you wants it. And he had that photo and it's like a token. It's something
Yeah.
sacred for him and there's a lot of vulnerability in having that part.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually
Mhm.
absolutely love that he keeps those pictures. Cause yeah, and what pictures do they have together? Like once they're together in the future, like what do they have to sort of memorialize their relationship? Not much.
Look, I'm gonna say this too, especially after when you've experienced trauma and you get treated nice, it's hard to accept that. I still have problem accepting nice things and happy things and also allowing yourself to want those
Yeah.
nice things. And Shane's a nice thing, which
Yeah.
is one of my favorite hashtags when they do it on
On
AO3,
803.
like, "This character deserves nice things. This character is the nice thing."
I don't think I've
Um,
seen that last one, but
oh, that's my favorite. I don't know if they have that for Heated Rivalry, but they'll do, like, Ilya deserves nice things, and they'll be like, Shane is a nice thing, and
I
it's
haven't
just
seen it, but I mean, sounds
I
funny.
hope it's a thing. Other fandoms have done it for sure. Um, but yeah, that's when I look at him. When I look at Ilya, I'm like, I see myself a little bit too much in you. A little bit too much.
We get then to the bathroom scene, which is I think it's a funny scene. First of all, because Shane goes into the bathroom and he's like, "I need a moment." I don't know if he really thought he was gonna get a moment, because like Ilya gets there right away. Um, so Shane does not get a moment. But did Shane want a moment, or did Shane want Ilya to get there? Um, he and Shane is mad, and I think he has a right to be mad because Ilya has not answered for 6 months. Um, and then it's like, you're gonna suck my dick like right away. Like Ilya's not good at foreplay. Like he's like, let's go. But like the funny thing is that I think the problem with Ilya is he can't make it about anything else other than sex. Otherwise, he's gonna like get lost in his feelings. Um, and then, but even when Ilya's trying to be a little shit and he says that, Shane's response is to be a little shit back. And Ilya's like, okay, I could just suck your then like I'm fine. Like it works both ways. And then like I think they disarm each other sometimes when they're asshole to asshole. Um, but I think we gotta clock that the one who makes the interaction tender or takes a moment is Ilya, because he can't help himself. And even though they will go and have an interaction that will end with Shane almost sending a message saying we didn't even kiss in the bathroom, Ilya can't help himself and kisses Shane. He's the one that can't help himself.
Mhm.
We know from the short story, and he kisses Shane, and in the short story it even says that he kisses Shane and he wishes he could kiss him more, or like in a different
Oh,
way,
wow.
like it's like keep kissing him. And he's like almost like a drowning man in the desert, like I mean like a sip of water, and then you have a sip of water and you're like, okay, or like not really a sip of water, like there's a mirage and you're not really getting water. You think you're getting water and you're like, if I keep drinking this, it's gonna be worse. Like, I don't know. He gets so scared, I think, by that interaction that when they see each other in the penthouse later, there's 57 walls in front
Yeah,
of
he
Ilya.
creates like physical distance, Ilya, by having Shane on the bed and asking him to do things. It's wanting something but trying to create this barrier. Which I also want to note that was Ilya waiting there
Yeah, like just like when
by the
Shane was,
wall, okay? Because I know we talk a lot about like Shane folding his clothes and he dressed up the first time they met up. But Ilya was at that window, okay? His shirt opened, casual. What about Lee?
yeah, he'd been there for 10 minutes sipping his vodka just to make sure Shane saw him there when
I
he got there.
guess.
The only thing I didn't mention about the bedroom scene before we get into the penthouse scenes that I wanted to mention is that they have a little conversation about um how when your English gets so good.
Mhm.
Shane tells Ilya, and Ilya jokes that he's been reading the New Yorker. Um, the first thing that strikes me about like how do your English get so good is that they haven't been talking for 6 months. So that
Okay.
feels a little bit like Shane being like, this is one of the things I missed in the time we hadn't been talking. That Ilya's English got so good. Ilya sort of deflects saying he's read the New Yorker, and then that becomes a David thing because Shane says, my dad reads the New Yorker. And then Ilya makes a joke like born is genetic and whatever. And that'll come back up when we meet Shane, when Ilya made
Oh.
Shane's parents, and they're having a conversation about Shane's parents, and Ilya asks, like, your dad is boring, and whatever, and like reads the New Yorker, like, and it's all from there. Like, you gotta understand this is happening in 2014. The cottage is gonna happen in 2017, but Ilya did not forget that Shane's dad reads the New York because Ilya
Yeah.
collects little pieces of Shane. Um, and like he's
Ah,
not starving for them. Like he
shiny
collects
things
them.
like a
Yeah,
crow.
it's like my precious. And I think it's really important when they come back up that you can see that he was really paying attention the entire time. He just had no capacity to sort of explain himself and like explain his feelings. And then yeah, we can talk about the absurd way he looked in the penthouse. And also in the short story that I keep referencing because it's Ilya's point of view of Vegas, he specifically makes a note of how adorable he finds that Shane is folding his clothes. Which I always knew was a thing for Ilya. Like if
Competency.
you didn't have to tell me because I could see from how Connor is acting that he actually found that adorable. Like I could see it.
Charming.
He's charmed. He's completely charmed by Shane being like an awkward duck, completely. But yeah, again, we already said this. Ilya looks like a Greek god, and that is unfair every second of it. I think Shane agrees with us because Shane's like, what? Um, and then Shane's comment about the windows is also very Shane because like you're like in the penthouse, my dude. Who's gonna be seeing you from the
I don't
windows
know.
in
I
the
would be
penthouse?
afraid to. I need to close these windows, okay? Sorry, not sorry. That voyeuristic thing's not for me.
I
So I
mean,
understand your pain, Shane.
and then we get the scene with Ilya being like, what I want is to watch. That is what
Mhm.
I want, sort of, because I won the award. But even and that starts being very detached. I think they
Yeah.
slip into sort of a little bit of the dynamic in a couple of moments, like when Ilya mentions the cup and what does it feel, and Sheen takes off his underwear and throws it at him. Like that's a little bit of their normal dynamic bleeding into a moment where Ilya is trying to maintain separation.
Yeah.
Um, and then we have a very short sex scene. We have a lead up, but the
Mhm.
actual moment of sex scene doesn't last very long. We don't see him too much. The when we do see Ilya, he's sweating. So like I guess we're supposed to think this has
It was
lasted a while,
athletic?
or like it's lasted a while because he's sweating. Like you can see the sweat. Um,
Okay.
I made a note of it. I was like, how long have you guys been doing this that you're sweating so much?
Yeah, I mean, it when you look at it by the end of that scene in comparison to the moment of intimacy we had earlier, it really was short. And it's not that we want that like lewdness of them like really being together. It's just that the first scene had tenderness
Right, right.
and
And
it had
th-
soft moments. This was very, this could have been, I don't know, happened in episode 1 in the beginning when they didn't know each other, and I feel like Shane could clock that there was something weird. That's why he was asking some things, and they weren't together. They weren't cuddling like the first time. They were,
right.
like, separate.
Yeah, but I want to make it very clear that I don't think we're supposed to believe that Shane isn't into it, like what's happening. Shane is into it, and into the dynamic that Ilya is like, because he's the one that says, "I need you." Yeah, Ilya is
Yeah, yeah, no,
right
I'm talking about, like, the
into. No,
afterwards.
no, yeah, yeah. I just want to make it clear because I don't want it to seem like we're saying that there was a problem with the way they had sex. I think they were both into it,
No, the consent was fully there.
and then afterwards, it's just, yeah, they are. Ilya cannot even look at Shane when they are sitting together in bed. He can't look. He is smoking a cigarette, which I am 100% sure you cannot do inside that penthouse. Okay. But he's smoking a cigarette
I don't know,
anyway.
Lizzie. I've never stayed in a penthouse. I don't
But
know
you
the
cannot
rules.
smoke inside most hotels. But whatever. Ilya smoking a cigarette, and at- in the scene, like in Shane's apartment back in there, Shane says something about how I can smell the cigarette from you. I wholeheartedly believe that Ilya sometimes smokes because he likes when Shane nags at him. Like he likes, I
Mhm.
think this is Pavlovian response to if he nags, he cares, and he doesn't have enough people who care. So he's sometimes pushing like little buttons because he could have not, in that first scene, he could have just not had a cigarette before he came to see Shane. He could have tried to mask and smell. He doesn't because he knows Shane is going to say something about it. And I think he kind of
Mhm.
likes that. And here it feels like he is, after they had sex, doing things that he thinks are gonna annoy Shane because he wants Shane to go because he cannot stand Shane being there. Because he's feeling too many things, and then Shane makes it worse by asking about Russia, and then I think putting into words the thing that Ilya does not want to accept, which is, do you even want to go to Russia? And Ilya answers, what difference does it make? Like,
Yeah,
basically, I have no choice but to
he's
go
checked
back.
out.
And then just Shane bringing up the elephant in the room makes Ilya check out even more. Um,
Mhm.
so he pushes Shane away. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, this is different too because Shane has never brought up these things before, and now he's bringing it up. So, like the space that
He brought it
Ilya
up
and
in the
Shane created.
stairwell.
See, pero not in this like, oh, you're going home. It must be nice in the stairwell. This conversation was different. This conversation was like you feel safe there, and it's
It's a
different. It's like they
post
created a bubble.
post Olympics Shane, I think, with more awareness,
Yeah.
kind of worrying about Ilya, which is ironically the thing Ilya cannot handle at
Yeah,
that
he's
point.
popping that bubble, popping that safe space that they had together. Um, yeah. That's why I feel like Ilya didn't get up. I also think Ilya smoked as okay, maybe wanting Shane to nag him, but also I think he did it as a sign that I know you don't like it, but I'm gonna do it because maybe I'm trying to push you away. And
Yeah,
maybe if I push you away, you'll stop bothering me. It's the reason why he didn't get up and walk him to the door and kiss him at all.
yeah, yeah. I think the thing is, and it's a very good storytelling choice. We only see the aftermath. Really? Well, we
Mhm.
see Ilya sitting there for a bit. The camera stays with him sitting for a bit
So
in bed, and
lonely.
he is checked out completely. It's like he's as detached as that scene where his dad and Svetlana's dad are talking. And then
Yeah.
we see Shane, and Shane, we see that he wanted to send the message about that
His
we didn't even kiss,
hesitation.
and doesn't send it. So we stay with Shane, which might give you the idea that it was easy for Ilya, but it wasn't. Just because
Yeah.
we end on Shane doesn't mean Ilya wasn't going through it as well, even though he made the decision this time. Yeah.
Man. These babies, they going through it. They're
Yeah,
going through it.
yeah,
But I do
and
like the hesitation with Shane and, like, the texting. It's
I
him
think it.
opening up. Ah, man, it's just it hurts. It hurts to see him, like, texting. He's always for him, Shane himself, there's this hesitancy of owning that space, owning his queerness, but also owning his feelings. Because if he was 100% with his feelings, he would send that. But new
Yeah,
things are scary.
yeah, I don't think they're in a moment where he would have felt safe sending that. Like he didn't even feel safe sending a "see you next season" with Smiley or without Smiley. Much less was he gonna send the "we didn't even kiss," and then Ilya was just checked out. In the short story that Rachel Reed wrote, there's even a moment that they didn't add in the show, but there's even a moment where Ilya, when they're having sex, says in Russian, I think something like, "Why does it have to be you?" Because again, I think we're supposed to understand that the thing that's scary for Ilya at this point is that he understands that if he there's like a veil and it's transparent between Ilya and his feelings. And he knows they're there. And he's like, I cannot lift this veil or I am going to hell. Okay. Like if I look at this in the face, there's no way back for me. So he is trying to not look at it in the face because he can't handle it. Meanwhile, Shane is still more emotionally available because I think he is seeing it still as not just sex necessarily. Like he thinks of Ilya as someone he cares about, but I don't think he's gone from maybe a friend he cares about and wants to have sex with to I'm in love with this person. The gap for Shane still exists. So it's easier for Shane to let himself want things because I don't think he's bridged the gap, and also I think that he doesn't understand that Ilya wants the same thing. I think what trips Shane up in episode 4 in the tuna melt seed is not just that he realizes his feelings, it's that he realizes that Ilya also feels the same, and that makes it bigger because it's not just him with a problem, it's both of them have a problem, and then he runs away because he can't handle all of that, plus the fact that this problem would mean I am 100% gay. Like he's got a lot to deal with in that moment, and we'll see it soon the next time we pick back up with them because we're gonna take a Scott and Kip detour in the next episode. Um, but yeah, they are very dumb boys who probably could have been together much earlier if they'd done this thing called talking to each other. But would it be as interesting as it is if they'd actually talked to each other before? I don't know. So yeah, Lara, I can't hear you.
Sorry.
Ah,
I was gonna say that I'm really looking forward to episode 3 because it's the episode that people are like, oh, it's like a filler. It's useless. You could skip it. No, you can't. Just like you can't skip these important moments between Shane and Ilya in episode 1 and episode 2. You can't skip episode 3. So I'm looking forward to that. But I really, really like this episode. I like how the dynamics are shifting. I like how they're getting stronger, but they're also like peeling back so many different layers that they're not ready to, and they're fighting against it, but they're fighting for each other. Love is complicated, Lizzie. Love is
love
complicated.
is complicated. Yeah, I think this is the episode that surprised me the most on rewatch. Honestly,
Yeah.
I didn't think it was as good an episode as it was. Um, I think what probably happened is that we watched both of episode 1 and episode 2 together. That
Mm-hmm.
kind of skews your perception. Like I think if we'd had a
Yeah.
week between episode 1 and episode 2, we would have I would have appreciated episode 2 more in the
Yeah.
moment. In a part of the reason we didn't is, and again, I didn't think it was a bad episode. I just thought probably if I rank them, it won't be this high. And I've changed my mind completely. I think this episode is like sort of the backbone of what the relationship between Shane and Ilya will become. And it's got so many important moments of development for both of them. I think it's a really well acted episode. Yeah, and we are gonna take a small detour to Scott and Kip, and we will talk about what their story means when we talk about episode 3. Like Lyra, I fully believe this story needed to be told. I personally understand why it was told in just one
Yeah.
episode, because it is more of a self-contained rom-com
Yeah.
than Shane and Ilya's story.
Yeah.
I think Scott and Kip are adorable, but like I don't know how you give me more of them when
Yeah.
their story has like such a quick fix. So either you fix it or you don't. There's a moment where it's you can't go anywhere else with the story. But
But we could save that.
they are so important, and that's why we will have an episode about them. Now, I wanted to set up like the why are they important? There's a reason why Scott's book is first.
Mhm.
Scott changes the game. It says
Groundwork.
the game changer series. So yeah, so we're gonna talk about Scott and Kip next week and Kip's bad idea of putting bananas on smoothies. I'm gonna have
Whatever.
a lot of opinions about the food that should go on smoothies. So you guys be warned. I have a lot of opinions about this subject. Okay, this is a subject I have most opinions about. Lauren disagrees with all of my opinions, but I am right and she is wrong.
Lizzie's a banana hater. Just
Yes,
know that. She's a
yes.
banana hater. But I think that's it for this week's episode, unless you have anything else to add, Lizzie.
No, no. Just again, every episode of Heated Rivalry is probably better than you thought on first watch. So,
Yes.
I mean, worth the rewatch. Just saying.
Yeah. It has been nice looking at the episodes a little bit more with like a critical eye, because this is what the scriptwriters are doing, and I feel like that's what we're doing even in this podcast, is honoring the scriptwriters but also honoring the people who are front facing and the camera, but also like the cinematography and lighting. There's so much that went into this. Um and at the end of the day, film and TV is another form of art, and that's
It
what
is.
I look at when I think of Heated Rivalry. Um, but yeah, thank you so much for joining us for episode 2. Again, I'm Lyra. This is Lizzie. You can follow us on socials as well. I'm at Miss Lyra Hale on Twitter, Instagram. Lizzie is Lizzie That on Twitter and Instagram. And then for our podcast, you can also follow us at Heated Rivalry Podcast. But thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Yes. And please
Bye.
like and subscribe because Lyra never
Oh,
says that.
yes, the important
Yes.
things.
The important things.
Sorry.
Uh, so yeah, have a good day. Drink some water.
Bye.
Bye.